Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back from lunch. Welcome back from your voice coaching session. How are you all feeling? Yeah, I've got to try more of that, I think. That was good, wasn't it? Yeah, we all have a message in us, and we all have a message to give. How many times have we been to a networking event and someone said, who would like to come up and give 2 minutes on their business? And you've sat there and thought, oh, not me. I know I've been in that place because you don't have the message in you and you don't feel you have the skills to give the message. So thinking about some of the things that Stuart's just talked about, there's some good tips there to help us learn how to be a bit more confident, how to leverage the breath and the body to give a strong message so that your audience understands what it is you're saying. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying right now. Okay, so I'm on now for the next half an hour or so. I want to talk to you about leadership. This morning we have looked at our vision, our mission, underpinning that with values, understanding that we need a strategy both for ourselves, our people and our business, looking at some planning tools, and also considering how we can increase our sales to drive the growth of our business. Before I go on further, I want to invite you to partake in a speciality on your table, handmade fudge by Fudge Kitchen, who are here. Thank you guys for the fudge, all handmade. You can purchase it in Harrods and other well-known stores. And it's amazing what goes on down at their factory. How many different types of fudge and different kind of concoctions? Yeah, 140 different flavors of fudge. Wow. Welcome back. I would like to talk to you about leadership, about our position as leaders in business, and why it's important that we become great leaders, not just of ourselves, but obviously of our people, but also leaders of our business. You know, and there's many facets to leadership. And I just want to share with you 12 principles that have been important both in my journey and in a number of clients' journey that I've worked with over the last few years. So these are tried and tested leadership principles. I've shared with you my definition of a successful business owner is someone who can operate a business or runs a business that can operate without them. And that's about making sure then that we've got the right people doing the right things in our business. We need the right people on our bus. And not just on the bus, we need the right people in the right seats on the bus. And we need to understand that the bus stops every now and then, and some people will need to get off, your passengers, and other people you'll want to get on. You see, a business is actually a reflection of the skills and the attitude of the people in the business. Like I said before, you can't build a business. You build people, and people build the business. So for that to happen, not only do we need to be great entrepreneurs, but we need a clear vision, mission, values, strategy, and plan. Leaders can be born leaders, but the reality is that most leaders are made. You can become a great leader through personal development. You know, one of the great mentors who I access all his material is a guy called Jim Rohn, who's no longer with us. But he said, if you work hard on your business, you'll earn a living. But if you work harder on yourself, you'll earn a fortune. And so this session is about what can we do to work a little bit harder on ourselves and understand what the ingredients of that are. What is the path to leadership? It's a challenging question because Google alone when you type the word leadership into Google, comes up with 6.2 billion websites. Which is, which one do you go to? The one that's ranked first? But also Amazon are currently offering 57,136 books with the title Leadership. It just goes to show, if we read only 1% of those books in our lifetime, it would be a major achievement. And yet, despite all this plethora of information, Gallup have recently just released a poll which shows that 68% of people in work in the business community would fire their boss if they could. Many employees' view is that there just aren't very many good leaders out there. And that's the truth. We're failing. And we need to get better. Now, I know it's tempting to say, yeah, but Simon, I'm a good leader. My staff love me. Well, fine. Tell me your secrets to success. Because there's more we could do to be better leaders. And that's why I'm sharing these 12 principles with you. And of the 12 principles, I want you to choose just 3 that are relevant to you, that you think you can do something with. Okay? Because this is, again, another toolbox. You're going to look at it and go, oh, yeah, that one's not for me. You might think, that one's a load of rubbish. I don't even agree with what he's saying. That's fine. But there are, in these 12, at least 3, I hope, that you'll look at and think, do you know what? That's actually very useful to know. And I need to maybe do a little bit of work on that for myself. And if we all go out of this room with just 3 actions that can improve the way we lead people, just in this part of Kent alone, wherever we are in Kent, then imagine the impact we can start to have as leaders in our industry, leaders in our business, leaders in our community, in our church, in our workplace, leaders in our home. Let's lead our homes. Let's lead the attitude, the skills, the behaviors of our children. Let's be great leaders to our kids because they're the next generation. And they've got a voice. It's a very loud voice. We're already seeing that with all this kind of eco protests. And so it was started by children, school children. It might be getting a little bit out of hand now, but hey, they had the right intentions at the beginning. And so we need to be good leaders to our kids. Okay. So, my goal is that you'll go out of here as attractive leaders. Yes, I said it. Attractive leaders. What do I mean by that? I mean that to attract attractive people, you need to be attractive. To attract positive people, we need to be more positive. To attract ambitious people, we need to be ambitious. If we want hard-working, dedicated people, our business needs to have a culture of hard work and dedication. So this is what we're trying to do. So here's my 12. I've just come up with another one. My 12 principles, here we go. Okay. You don't know what you don't know. And by the way, we're on page 14 in your workbooks. You don't know what you don't know. Don't settle for your current level of knowledge. Being wise means you cannot be the same, think the same, or act the same if you hope to be successful in a world that doesn't remain the same. It's constantly moving, so we have to as well. John Maxwell says dentists encourage us to floss daily to promote the health of our teeth. I saw a sign in the dentist that says, only clean the teeth you want to keep. Thought it saved me a bit of time every day, just that one at the back. So what he says is that every leader must do the equivalent of flossing every day with new information, keeping up to date with current leadership thinking. My first tip, therefore, of the day is for you to get hold of a copy of this book. It's called Leader Shift by John Maxwell. It is the latest bestseller on leadership. In my personal opinion, I've read a few leadership books. This cuts through most and gives you relevant, up-to-date thoughts, thinking, actions, behaviours on how we can lead better. I was thinking of sending a copy to Boris Johnson, but I don't know whether he'd bother. Anyway, they could all do with it, couldn't they? So that's my tip. Leader shift. Let's start to shift our leadership. Number 2. Good leaders adapt. We need to be adaptable. They say anyone can captain a ship in calm waters, but try being the captain of a ship when it's a raging storm, like in the Pacific Ocean. When your business is going through a period of difficulty, of challenge, whether it be with cash flow because you're growing and it's under pressure, whether the people are just not doing what you want, whether the systems, when we learned earlier that we need good systems in our business, if we're not keeping those up to date, if we're not moving forward, then we're captaining a ship that's in rough seas. I like this little poem. Jack, be nimble. Jack, be quick. Jack, jump over the candlestick. The more nimble, adaptable, and flexible we are as leaders, the more quickly we can move and change. We don't want businesses that are big oil tankers that take an age to turn. We need our businesses to be like speedboats that can twist and turn and respond to changes in the conditions and the market as quickly as possible. And as the captain of the ship, you set the tone for your business. You know, your staff watch you. Even before you get out of the car and you're walking into work some days, they're watching you. And if you're in a bad mood, then they're going to think your business is in a bad place. Oh, maybe he's just come back from the bank manager. Perhaps I should start looking for another job. And I know I used to be a bank manager. So we have to be conscious of the fact that we set the tone in our business. That, you know, we might be feeling down, but let's go in. Let's do what Stuart's just taught us to do and kind of pump up and get ready for the battle and be ready to communicate our message in a positive way. So tip number 2, adapt and adjust. Adapt and adjust. Constantly seeking to change direction. Constantly seeking to captain our ship well. Tip number 3, let go of your ego. Most of us entrepreneurs have an ego. It's why we're entrepreneurs and we're not employees. We have an ego and we have to watch it because ego, pride and autocracy can be the greatest enemies. Humility, openness and empowerment can be your greatest allies. And with our ego, and we heard earlier about having mentors and people work with us, but in our ego sometimes we put that first ahead of any advice we might get. Plans go wrong for lack of advice. In the Bible it says, many advisors bring success. Many advisors bring success. You see, ignorance is not bliss. Don't let it be lonely at the top. Build yourself an army of helpers. Within your business, develop a team of advisors, leaders, people that can offer opinions, create and generate ideas. You don't want an army of yes men and yes women in your business. It won't help you to move forward. Outside of your business, build a reliable team of trusted advisors, coaches, mentors, other people in business, people in this room. We'd love to create this movement of support in business that you never feel on your own anymore. There's always someone you can pick the phone up to and say, remember that conference? I'm struggling since, or it's going really well since. I just want to talk to someone. Then let's share and do more. And if you need an excellent business coach, hey guys, I'm just saying. No, make sure you access the wealth of support that's available. Yeah, there's the Chamber of Commerce downstairs with the Scale Up program. There's the International Christian Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot of organizations out there can help and support your business. Okay, so tip number 3, build a great support team. Build a great support team, both in and outside of your business. Tip number 4. Disciplined actions deliver decisive results. A few simple disciplines practiced every day give you momentum and will create a huge gap between you and your competitors. You know, is it the choice of an apple a day or a Mars a day? If you took 2 10-year-old children and one took the apple a day every day for the next 20 years, and the other chose the Mars a day every day for the next 20 years, it might be safe to assume, might it not, that the one choosing the apple, that just that small difference in choice will go on to make many other choices which are focused on the well-being, the success of that individual. An apple a day doesn't just keep the doctor away. It could mean living a more healthy life, being more successful in business, because you're more positive. You're focused on things that give you the right energy as opposed to arguably the wrong energy. So, get into good habits, not bad habits. Good routines, not bad routines. I always remember the story of the reporter that wanted to interview Mike Tyson and spent years just trying to get in front of him and couldn't until one morning he got the opportunity because he found out that he used to go running at like 4:30 a.m. in a pitch cold, dark, freezing winter's morning. It's pouring with rain. And he rocks up next to Mike Tyson. He's running and he says, "Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?" "Sure, go ahead," he said. And he said, "Why on earth do you get up at 4:30 in the morning when it's like this? And you know you've got a full day of training anyway. I mean, it can't necessarily benefit you. Why do you do it?" And the answer was simple. He said, "I get up this early every single day for one reason and one reason only. Because I know the other guy is still in bed. And this morning I beat him." And therefore his mindset going into the ring was, I've already beaten this guy every single day for the past 1 year, 2 years, however long it is before that fight. Distraction is the enemy of performance. Don't get distracted. Have good disciplines. Create some and stick to them. I'm not advocating getting up at 4:30 every morning, but hey, sometimes getting up just a little bit earlier, it's amazing what you can achieve in the first half an hour of a day. Number 4 is create good daily disciplines. 5, love learning. Realize that today's best will not meet tomorrow's challenges. Continually learn, unlearn, relearn. There's so much to learn. Mark Neiman Ross, author of lynda.com, which is an amazing learning platform now recently purchased by LinkedIn. So if you want to have a look at lynda.com, lynda.com, it has literally every single video on almost every single subject you can think of. And it's an incredible learning platform. He states that the speed of innovation is such that every 4 years you will need to relearn at least 30% of your job. Wow. We need to stay ahead of the game. We need to build into our monthly management meetings, boardroom meetings, team meetings, toolbox talks, learning sets, technically based, behaviorally based. Make sure we're training our people and training ourselves to train them. So tip number 5 is create a culture of learning. Make sure people in your business, you've got product champions, you've got values champions, you've got people building the culture of learning. It doesn't all have to come from you. Okay, tip number 6. I'm going to speed up now, so you need to keep up with me. Make the most of your failure quota. Make the most of your failure quota. What's a failure quota? You all have failure in you, and you will all experience failure. Failure builds character. Henry Ford said, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Just round the corner from most failure lies success. The problem is, most people give up. We talked last year about the story of being 3 feet from gold. When this chap in the American gold rush had found this kind of a seam of gold and was digging and digging and digging, and then bought loads of machinery to dig for more and more and more. And then it suddenly ran out. And he was pulling his hair out, didn't know what to do. In the end, he had to sell all his equipment to someone else. And the first thing they brought in was a land surveyor who said, if you just move the equipment 3 feet to the right, that's where the seam of gold will be. And sure enough, it turned out to be the biggest gold mine in the whole of America. And the guy that sold it, crying one day in his soup, decided to set up an insurance company, which is now the biggest insurance company in the whole of America, because he realized he would never ever quit again, and he would never take no for an answer. So we have a failure quota. It's what we do with it. Did you realize that Lewis Hamilton is 5 times world champion, and yet he's lost more races than he's ever won? Because his failure quota is such that he knows that round the corner lies success. Getting over the failure quota is key. Napoleon Hill said, failure cannot cope with persistence. Persistence overcomes failure. Don't give up. Don't allow people in your business to fear failure. Okay. People to fail. Oh, can you hear me? Allow people to fail and build a culture of learning, asking, what lessons have we learned from that failure? I was in the back of a London cab last week, and this cabbie was just going on and on and on, complaining, moaning, criticising the plight of the London cabbie. It's the government's fault. It's the mayor's fault. It's the eco-warriors' fault. It's Brexit. Boris Johnson's fault. It's everyone's fault except his. Not realising that I wouldn't want to get back in that cab again. And I wouldn't ever, if I saw him, I'd be flagging someone else. Because he's not understanding that all the challenges that we have, it's our response to them. And that you overcome failure by responding in a positive way. Failure is a necessary stepping stone to build our dreams. So tip number 6 is to follow Robert F. Kennedy's advice. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. My tip number 6. Tip number 7, be courageous. Be strong and be courageous. Move forward courageously in the midst of uncertainty. We've never had so much uncertainty in this country as we have now. But we need to move forward and not procrastinate. I met a business owner last week, said, I don't know whether to scale up or scale down. I said, so what have you done for the last 12 months? He said, nothing. I'm waiting. We can't afford to wait. Scale up. They say that attack is the best form of defense. So let's attack our market. Let's get the edge. Let's get out there. Let's win more business. Let's be courageous. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen, according to Winston Churchill. So my tip number 7 is be courageous. Don't hold back. If you think you should go for it, go for it. Check it with someone else by all means, but go for it. Don't sit back. Be courageous. Tip number 8. I said earlier about becoming attractive. Become attractive. You're all so attractive, but we could be all the more attractive. Let's keep being attractive. People are attracted to positivity. If we're looking for people, right? We want to grow our business, yes? We want the right people. How are we going to attract the right people into our business? I mentioned earlier about, have you ever phoned your own business? What I would like you to do tomorrow is walk into your business and pretend you're a visitor. If not a visitor, walk into your business and pretend you're potentially your next employee. What do they see? Do they see a nice clean floor area? Nice place to work? Do they see a rubbish everywhere? Books, paperwork everywhere? Do they see a clear desk policy? Staff in uniforms? Happy, laughing people? Photos of their family on their desk? Or do they see this place? And think, oh, I'm going to work for this guy? Would you want to work for this guy? Or would you rather work for these guys? What does your business look like and feel like when people walk in? Remember, first impressions count. So when we're recruiting, it's not just us recruiting them, especially with Generation Z and millennials. They're recruiting us. They're checking us out. They're deciding if they want to work for us, not whether we want them to work for us. Okay? So the environment people come into work in, the environment has a big impact. And on this day, which is apparently World Mental Health Day, we need to think about these things. How do we create a positive environment where there's good health and well-being at work, where it's a great place to work, where it's an attractive place to work? Is it fun to work in our businesses? How do we make it fun? How do we create more humour in our businesses, especially when it's a raging storm? As leaders, we have to think about these things and engage with our staff. It can become just a bit too serious. Look at the Houses of Parliament. It's just getting way too serious. I read about Winston Churchill. What an amazing leader. But, you know, he had a very serious job to do at a very serious time for this country. But as an eloquent speaker, he had the most amazing sense of humour. Lady Astor one day exacerbated that she just could not get through to Winston Churchill in Parliament, said, "Winston, if you were my husband, I would put poison in your tea." Winston replied, "Lady Astor, if I was your husband, I'd drink it." He went one stage further on another occasion when she accused him of being a drunkard in the Houses of Parliament. He said, "My dear, you are ugly, but tomorrow I will be sober and you'll still be ugly." It's a shame we don't have those kind of exchanges. Okay, so be an attractive company. Thank you, Martin. I've already overrun, but I need to keep going. So, number 9, rely on speed and thrive on timing. Number 9, rely on speed and thrive on timing. Did you know in the life of a pear, there's only one day when it's the best day to eat it? If you're a day before, it's too hard, too crunchy. If it's a day after, it's too soft, too there. There's only one day. So we need to think about timing as leaders. When is the perfect time to pounce? Let's plan the timing. Let's be clear about when we've got the advantage and go for it on that day. Be the pair. Be a pair leader. Number 10, get the balance right. I haven't got time, but I was going to show you these containers. And the reason why I was going to show you these, I'm just going to quickly show you them, is because I was going to do something with them, but I don't have time. I'm seeing this a lot right now. I'm seeing where maybe you're really well, you're doing really well, yeah, and you're okay, and you're full, but your business is not in the best of shapes. So what happens is we have to then put all of our energy, everything we have, blood, sweat and tears, into our business. But then what happens is the business becomes well, and it's starting to thrive, and it's doing well. But you are absolutely burnt out, worn out. It's challenging. And not only that, but it's affected your home life, your health, your well-being, and everything else. And this is going on a lot. Either the business is in great shape and you're not in the best of shape, or vice versa. And we have to get the balance right. And sometimes we do have to put every single thing we have into growing our business. But we have to go home and explain that. And we have to get the buy-in of our families and say, listen, I need, it's not great right now. I need some help. I'm going to need to put extra hours in. Let's get the buy-in. Let's get the communication right. Yeah, I'm seeing this a lot. So it might resonate with a few people in the room. If it doesn't, great, fine. It's not in the toolbox. But otherwise, I would say, get the balance right. Work hard at getting the balance right. It's important. Okay, the penultimate one. Only dead fish swim with the stream. Only dead fish go down the stream. If anybody here has been fishing for salmon, you'll know that salmon migrate up the stream from the ocean. They swim to the upper reaches of the river and spawn on the gravel grounds. But to get there is a treacherous journey. Yeah, the conditions are challenging. But life is like that, isn't it? Life isn't supposed to be easy. It was never designed that way since Adam and Eve. Every one of us has a book in us. We're the author of our own life. Imagine if this was your book. This is your book. And chapter 1 says, everything's fine. Chapter 2, everything's just fine. Chapter 3, everything's still fine. Would you finish this book? What kind of book is that? A load of old rubbish. Your book, every book inside this room for every person is full of intrigue, drama, failure, loss, grief, things that didn't go as planned, things that went well, success, overcoming things. It would be the best film ever made, your life. You have a message in you, every one of you. So don't worry about the fact you're swimming upstream. Just a little extra flick of your tail, and you can avoid some of the big waterfalls, the weirs, the raging torrents, and sometimes even the grizzly bears. Because there are a lot of grizzly bears out there. But you can avoid it because you are leading a leaner, happier, stronger life because you are swimming upstream and you know the direction you're going in. Okay, so don't worry about life's challenges. It is meant to be that way, folks. It's all part of the grand design. Finally, my final point for the day is to go back to something we talked about earlier, and my heading is, it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. Many of us have corporate and social responsibility policies in our companies. Many of us give, either through our business or through ourselves. We either give our time or our money, or we encourage our employees to give time and money. But as business owners and entrepreneurs and leaders in this country, I believe passionately that we all have a responsibility to give back. We're in a privileged position. We've been blessed. Our businesses are doing well. And if they're not, that we have learned today some of the tips and techniques to make sure they are doing well. And when they do well, we should acknowledge that and support our local communities. That can be just through apprenticeships, like we talked about earlier. Or it could be actually helping people in our local community. It could be talking to MAF downstairs and seeing what we could do to support their amazing work. So my final tip, best summed up by another Winston Churchill quote, which was, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. So that's my top 12. Good, wasn't it? We looked a bit shocked. I couldn't wait to get here today to hear what I had to say. I want you to take those 12 and now spend a bit of time identifying what are your top 3. What are your top 3? I'm going to give you only 1 minute to do that because that's all I have left. Yeah, I've only just got it by my fingertips. Okay.